Hey Collective, welcome to Queen Airbender Tarot. Today I want to jump into just have a candid conversation with you all about some things that have been happening for myself and my family during this Mercury retrograde, well, Lionsgate / Mercury retrograde, because you guys know the Lionsgate started August 8th, and Mercury retrograde officially starts September 9th, but we are already in the portal, and I know a lot of you guys already feel that energy. I've been speaking for a while on this channel about how the Lionsgate portal would affect a lot of people. I have to really keep putting this out here because a lot of people feel as though the Lionsgate portal is just that 8/8, the day of August 8th, and that's it, and that's the most potent. That is the most potent and powerful day energetically because it is definitely the veil is being thin. Actually, that the veil is being obliterated. In other words, the spiritual and the physical are intermingling very strongly, right? There's, people have a lot of epiphanies, a lot of shifts, a lot of energetic shifts, a lot of massive upheavals, and also massive, a lot of abundance. But sometimes that abundance comes from upheavals, and this is why I want to share with you guys because this portal has definitely affected me and my family in a major, major way. And I have to say this, and I have to put this out here before I even get to the topics that I want to discuss with you all. I thank you all so much because you all have always been so gracious and so loving and so supportive with anything that I, post and tell you guys about, especially when I reschedule readings, because you guys know I post readings every Sunday and every Wednesday, and I did not post the Sunday reading as I usually schedule to do. I did it for today because today is officially Labor's Day. And even though you guys know I don't celebrate holidays, on this particular day, I did feel energetically drawn to do so. Not celebrate the holiday, but the purpose of it. Because with Labor Day, it talks about, it's really a celebration of those who are in the working force or people who put in just work in general that affects those around them. A labor of love is how I want to see it energetically, or how I would like to put it energetically, because there are two people that I really want to talk about today because it has strongly affected me, especially during this Lionsgate portal, which we are still literally in until officially, it won't officially wrap up until 9/9, because then we'll go into another portal with the Mercury retrograde, and then from 9/9 to 10/10. You guys get where I'm going with this? We have those double numbers, those mirror numbers. It has a double and more profound effect on that energy in that time frame. Okay, so for me and my family, and I've been telling you guys for a while that for a lot of people, there's major abundance shifts with your money, shifts with love relationships, shifts with things that you could not release, and that you're going to be tested during Mercury retrograde about that, because you guys know I always say the easiest way to think about retrograde is rewind. Okay, and rewind just talks about go back. So things from the past is coming back, and if if there's things that are unresolved, things that have not completely been dealt with, lessons that you still need to be learning, or things that you need to, the universe is trying to get your attention, long story short, things that still needs to be dealt with, it's going to be coming back into your reality during this time. And for a lot of you all, you're already experiencing this. Okay, and I just want to start off by saying, okay, so August 18th all the way up until now has been very interesting for me and my family. August 18th, and I don't talk about personal things, but everything has a meaning. Everything has a purpose, and that's why I went to the disclaimer about thank you guys so much for being so supportive and your words of encouragement and your kind sentiments, because I know after you guys hear what's going on, y'all gonna be like, damn, Queen, are you okay? I am. I am. But it took a while for me to get there, and I've definitely had to, with the Lionsgate, for me, my personal thing was to test my faith. Okay, so I want to start off by saying August 18th, I took my daughter for a routine doctor appointment, just a general doctor appointment. She's never been sick. She has no illness. She has never had any issues. Just a general school physical, and she was getting her blood drawn. As she was getting her blood drawn, she was fine. She was well. There was nothing going on. Me and my son were in the room because I always do both of their appointments together so that I don't have to bring them back and forth. They have the same doctor, so it's like the doctor sees both of them at the same time. Okay, because like I said, it's just a random school, regular routine school physical. So they were drawing my daughter's blood, and she was fine. She was completely fine. She had no issues whatsoever. And I was talking to my son. I'm looking at him, and she's across the room sitting on the examination table getting her blood drawn. And something told me to look up at her. I'm an empath. I can feel things, right? And with your children, you always can feel things very deeply, because we always have that connection, that energetic cord, that connection with us. And I'm facing him, but something told me to look at her. And I looked at her, and I noticed like something just didn't feel right about her energy. I don't even remember getting out of the chair, but I literally leapt out of my chair and ran to jump behind her, and as I put my arm behind her head, she landed in my arms, and she had a full seizure and completely stopped breathing. So I said I wasn't gonna get emotional. So in that moment, immediately, she had to be coded. She completely stopped breathing. They had to code her and bring my child back to life. My daughter's 13. It took them a good 30 minutes to work on her. Of course, they called the ambulance because they were in a doctor's office. We weren't at a hospital because, again, we didn't go because she was sick. We went just for a regular routine, just a regular routine maintenance to make sure you get your blood work, make sure everything's good, everything's fine. And we've never had issues with her. So immediately the doctor felt as though, okay, she had a stroke, or did she have a heart attack? She literally just went into shock and just seized and stopped breathing and literally left. I felt her body in my arms and she felt lifeless. So they worked on her for a while. And of course she came back, and it was very odd. If you guys are new to the channel, then I have to just share with you all that my daughter is a Taurus, and baby, that bull is strong. Do you understand me? Her birthday is May 4th. She's a very strong, tenacious girl. I mean, probably one of the most strongest individuals that I know. To be 13, she's so strong. She's 125 pounds soaking wet, but she has the strongest. She's physically strong. She's emotionally very strong. And she just has a beautiful spirit, beautiful soul. And it's odd because if I told you how she came back to us, it would kind of creep you out because it made all of us emotional. The staff was in the house, in the doctor's office crying and everything, because we were like panicking because we thought we had lost her. And I'm like, what the fuck happened? What happened in this time that she go into some type of shock? So, they're doing all the testing and running extra blood work and immediately sending things off to the lab, and everything's checking out fine. She doesn't have diabetes. She doesn't have this. She doesn't have that. She's fine. They're like, we don't understand what made this happen to her, right? So as she comes back to, she like literally pops up like Frankenstein, and she pops up and she says, "Mommy, I can't see you. Mommy, I can't see you. Where are you? Where are you? I need to hear your voice. I can't hear you. I can't see anything." And I'm asking her, I said, "What do you mean you can't see anything?" And she said, I can't see. So the doctor goes and checks her eyes, and, I could see by the look on his face that he was like really concerned, because again, now we're going back to the idea that they feel like, okay, we think she had a stroke and she's lost her sight. So I'm holding her hand, and she just keeps saying to me, "Mommy, I need to hear your voice. I need to hear your voice because I need to know that everything is okay." And of course, they kept working on her, taking her blood pressure and doing things, just to make sure her vitals were okay. At the time in which she came back, her blood pressure was like 69/30 something. And, they're giving her IV fluids, and they're giving her water and things like that, trying to, stabilize her and things like that. Because it was weird to us the way she had stopped breathing, and they brought her back and she was fine. And she's drinking the water. She kept saying to me, she said, "I want to go home." I said, "No, we have to," by the time the paramedics is there and they're just constantly checking things to stabilize her. And she's like, "I want to go home." And I said, "Well, you can't go home. We need to go to the hospital and find out what's going on." And by the time I had called my ex-husband, he was at work, and I called him so he can come pick up my son, because I'm like, I'm not letting you take my baby to the hospital without me with her. That's not happening. She rocking and rolling. We're going together. And so, we just, every single staff member in the doctor's office was surrounding the room. Everyone's, because of course when there's cold, all hands need to be on deck. And so we're talking, and it's very odd. Her doctor is a very traditional doctor. He's not spiritual. We've talked about things before, because me and the doctor we have a very good rapport, and we're talking about things. And he's not a spiritual person. He's very Western, medicine, very much like, take this pill, do this. He's one of those type of guys, which, I don't play that shit because I'm not like that. But odd calm came over this doctor's face, and I'm looking, again, I'm an empath, so I'm looking at his energy, and a very odd calm came over his face, and it was almost like he wasn't him, okay? And my daughter said, "I want to go home. I don't want to go to the hospital." Again, this is a 13-year-old child who literally has stopped breathing. For I won't even lie to you and make up a time frame, because the time stops, when you're a baby. This is my baby. I have two children. I have a 13-year-old and a 14-year-old. And time stops when things like that happen, because it's like you can't even rationalize with what's going on in the moment, with a 100% healthy child, and all of a sudden something like this happens, like that shifts and shakes up your whole world. So the doctor had this odd calm on his face, and he's saying to me, let's just wait it out. Let's see. And most people are like, oh hell no, take the child to the hospital immediately, blah 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 blah. But I'm looking at this man's face, and in this moment I knew it was not the doctor. This was literally, he was being downloaded by some type of being. And I'm not getting negative. It was definitely not negative. It was an entity that I feel like a spirit guide that was saying, no, we are protecting her. She's good. You're going to take your baby home. Okay? And the whole process of them coding her and trying to resuscitate her, I literally called and I said, Archangel Raphael. And for those of you who are not into that, Archangel Raphael is like basically the doctor Archangel, right? So I'm calling upon him. I said, please bring my baby back to me. Bring my baby back to me. Protect her, shield her, bring her back to me. And I kept praying and I kept praying. And then, of course, you guys know I've worked in the medical field for 18 years. So, of course, I'm all hands on deck with the whole coding. And I'm helping, put leads and things on. So I'm with the shits. I'm not leaving my baby's side. My son, I had removed him and had him in the hallway, but the door was still open so he could see what was going on, of course. And him and my daughter are like that. Okay, he's a Scorpio, she's a Taurus. Those two are thick as thieves, like, and they're literally a year and 6 months apart. So they have a very close bond. And the doctor, going back to what the doctor, he just sat and looked at her. And I knew, looking at his energy, he did not even seem like the same person. It was an aura around him that was not his. You guys know I can read auras also. And if you're new to the channel, this is also a gift that I've had since I was very young. And he wasn't himself. I'm looking at my daughter, she wasn't herself. And I can tell she definitely had an out-of-body experience. She definitely checked out for a minute. And when she came back, she knew she was fine. So they kept taking her vitals. And during this time, he said, let's keep checking her vitals. Let's see what's going on. And in that time, again, because they had the little lab there where they could do the rapid testing and get all stuff done, and everything came out fine. So at this point, we're at the doctor for like an hour and a half at this point. We're still there, and they're doing workup on her. And every couple minutes as I'm talking to her, her blood, they had the automatic cuff on her arm. Her blood pressure is going up, and I mean, it's completely stabilized. And she's blinking, and I'm looking at the way she's blinking. And she just looked over at me and she said, I can see you now. This is honest to goodness truth. I'm not making a story up. This is real. Okay? This is very genuine and very real. And this is where I want to speak to you all about this, because I feel like a lot of people during this time frame were expecting, okay, the riches and goals and things like that. But you will experience that for a lot of you all. But for some of you all, the riches and goals is realizing your appreciation of faith in life. Because my faith, I've always been faithful about the universe. I know I don't do anything by myself. Even my gift with readings and things like that, and be able to connect with higher sources, because I have faith that the universe is always going to be in touch with me, and I will always be in touch with the universe for my highest good and everyone who connects with me. And I always install that same energy with my children. And so I knew right then and there that she would be fine. And again, they kept working up, making sure, they kept checking, doing more blood work, making sure she would be fine throughout the time. And the doctor he wouldn't even talk to me. The doctor looked at my daughter. It's almost like they had some type of spiritual something. And he looked my daughter in her face and he said, do you feel safe to go home, or do you want to go to the hospital? And she said, I'm going home. And the doctor looked at her and said, well, then you're going home. Now, you guys know, it being a mother, I'm a Gemini, so I ain't no about a lot of stuff. She slept. I made her sleep with me for 2 days. I'm like, honey, we gonna be looking at each other like this. When you roll over, you gonna be looking at my face. I'm gonna watch you sleep and breathe and make sure you're fine. And it has been a roller coaster ever since then. Like, literally, that day started like a forest fire of events that have taken place. On the ride home, she just, in a hospital, in the doctor's office, she didn't cry one time. No, she cried a little bit, but she didn't really cry until we got into the car. We got into the car, and she just exploded crying. And she looked at me and she said, Mommy, I feel like I left you. I feel like I left you all. I didn't think I was going to come back. And she cried. And of course, I'm crying. My son's crying. We're just like, and I asked, I said, what do you mean? She said, I left you. I seen my soul leave my body. I left. And in that moment, I knew she was not lying, because when I held her in my arms, her body didn't feel like it had any life to it. It just felt lifeless. And it was by far the most traumatizing thing that I've ever been through. But at the same time, in that moment, I feel like I was being tested by the universe. Like, what do you do when things like this happen in your life? You get what I'm saying? What do you do? Immediately I called towards the universe. Immediately I called for the ancestors. Immediately I called for the angels, because I have that type of faith. Most people would have felt like, if God loves me, why would you do this to me? Why would this happen to me? Why would you allow so much suffering? But in that moment, I immediately called to the universe, because I needed my daughter to be protected. I knew that it wasn't her time. I knew that. And I had to keep reiterating this to her. Even to this day, I still reiterate this to her. And from time to time, when she thinks about it, she'll start crying. Okay? It was a very painful situation. But again, I'm going to say, during that time, I realized in Mercury retro, in Lionsgate portal, in that time frame, because we were still in August, right? In that time frame, I realized that my abundance was the abundance of appreciation, because I love and appreciate my family and my children and everything, but it's so much deeper now at this point. So much deeper, so much more profound. Of course, me and my daughter have we've always been close. You know, she's a Taurus sun, Libra moon. I'm a Gemini sun, Taurus moon. So we have that, that air earth. We are like this. That's my ace-bone coon. That's my partner in crime there. So, but it's a different dynamic. And also, ever since this accident, when I've seen her and when she talks, she does not sound like herself. She has a wisdom that you would only assume that you would get when you've seen something so spiritual and brought that back with you, that it has changed and shaped and molded her forever. And it has done the same thing with my family. Okay? And so, again, I feel like for a lot of people, if you have not experienced the riches, the financial riches, the riches and things like that you have went through, may have been associated and connected to traumatic things happening to you. And I feel like the universe is testing you to say, okay, how are you going to deal with this? Are you going to detest and repel the universe and source and all encompassing light, the highest power? And I'm not preaching you. Again, I'm going to say, you guys know I don't believe in religion. I believe in source. I believe there's a source higher than us. I believe in everything. Energy is non-ending. Okay, so I don't believe in a specific religion, because for me, it puts something in a box. You can't put limitless, infinite energy into a box. So that's how I feel about that. And I just wanted to explain that, especially for those of you who are new to the channel and you don't know, what it is, because I've heard a lot of people say that tarot and things like that is of the devil. I connect with the highest source. I don't even entertain lower vibrational energy. I don't do it. I refuse to. I rebuke it. So I just have to put that out there. I can't speak for everyone else, but I can speak for me. Okay? So moving on from that, the very next day, I went to a celebration of life, a 40th birthday party, which actually happened to be my twin flame. Okay. Yeah. So I went to a 40th birthday party, again, a celebration of life, right? And during this time, I was not on my phone. You guys know, especially if you follow the channel for a while, I'm not big on social media. I don't watch TV. If I watch something, I watch a series, and then once that series is over, I don't watch anything. I don't watch TV. I don't get into stuff like that. I'm on social media here and there, but I'm not big on stuff like that, because you have to detach and recharge yourself, because social media and things have a lot of the imagery and things like that. All of that has energy. Everything is energy. So I try not to tap into that stuff too much. So during the celebration of life, we were partying, having a great time, and this is August 19th, the day after the situation with my daughter. And I was celebrating that, so I didn't see anything on social media. I didn't have my phone on. I was just celebrating life. And once I got home, if people tag you to videos and things like that on social media, you'll get a notification. So once I got home, I looked at the tags, and so I'm just looking at the videos of everyone having a good time, taking pictures and things like that. And before I got off, I seen the feed. And as I look on my news feed, I discover that not one but two people that I love and very close to died while I was at this celebration. True story. So when I said that I wanted to share this because of the whole labor thing, because these two people who passed were very strong, influential figures in not only my life, but everyone around them. They both were the matriarchs, and I'm not over exaggerating. They were the matriarchs of their family. So the first person who passed, again, if you look at the date, she died on 19th of August of this year. This is my aunt. She was 89 when she passed. She had 9 children. And with her passing, I had a lot of peace in it because she lived such a beautiful, long life. She has instilled so many beautiful, life lessons. And they called her Grandma Phoenix because she's been in Phoenix like literally all throughout her life. And she literally was like a pinnacle person of this, of that community, a very small knit community, but everyone knew her and loved her. And she passed the very next day after the situation went down with my daughter. And again, I didn't notice it until I got home, which was hours later after celebrating the 40th birthday. So her passing, I had peace with it because she had peace with it. When I would speak to her, as my great aunt, when I would speak to her, she would always, she was very mindful of the universe. She was religious, but she would always say, I know God, and I know that I'm going to go be with God, so I have peace in that, and I hope you all have peace with that, because she knew she was getting older, and she made peace with it. So with her death, it was very sad, because I knew we were losing a very, very core part of our family, but I also knew, just like that smile on her face, this is the energy she was in. She had peace, so I had peace in it. It was hurtful, but I also knew that she had transitioned in a space of knowing that this is what she had been preparing for mentally, emotionally, spiritually. She was always very devout, very faithful. And so I had peace in it. When I spoke to her, when she answered her phone, she would never answer and say, hey, how you doing? Who is this? Nothing like that. She would literally answer her phone, and her words would say, praise the Lord. That's how she would answer the phone. She would say, praise the Lord. That's how she would, initiate conversation with anyone. She never said anything different. Always praise the Lord. And then she would start talking to you. So she was walking that path already. She was already connected to source. She already knew. She knew, if that makes sense. And I hope this isn't confusing. She knew exactly what it was that she was embarking upon on her journey. It was very weird because when she passed, she had went to the doctor just for a simple, she had a UTI, but the family could tell that she was confused because she was smart. You could see her face. She was a firecracker. She was smart. She was not confused. She was not bedbound. She was up and about, but she was confused because she had a UTI and things like that. So they took her to the doctor, and upon the time that they were getting ready to release her, they found out that she ended up getting COVID while she was there, and that's what did it. Which is very interesting because she was very big on not having people around her because she was older and she had, underlying illnesses that would, render her, it could make her very sick if she got it. So even when you would visit her, you would have to visit her and talk to her through the window. She would not let people in her home. So the fact that she did that for all of this pandemic and then kept herself safe, and then she went to the hospital for one thing and something else ended up doing it, that was the thing that really did it for my family and I. But again, I'm going to say she made peace, and she made her family aware of that. And so I'm sending love to my family also in regards to that. So she made peace with that. And so that gave me a sense of peace. Even with my grandmother's passing, she made peace. She knew she was getting ready to transition. And it's like she actually spoke to her family about that before she passed. So that gave us a sense of calm. So that's my aunt. Again, I'm going to share with you, if you look at this, this was on the 18th of August. My coworker passed the same day on the 18th of August. I'm sorry, on the 19th of August. They both passed on 19th of August, the same day. They both passed hours away from each other. This one completely took me out, okay? When I say, if you just look at her face, the sweetest soul, the most beautiful person you could have ever met. She has never said, I've never heard her speak an ill word of anyone. She was always everyone's work mother. She was a secretary at the hospital that I used to work at when I was working as a tech. And she would embrace you. It was just immediately like you had never ever in your life met a soul as beautiful and remarkable as her. She was sick and no one really knew because she was a very private person. She was a Taurus, as you guys can see. Subsequently, and very interesting enough, her birthday is May 5th and my daughter's birthday is May 4th. Mind you, her and my daughter were very fond of each other. Very fond of each other. She has a granddaughter who's a year younger than my daughter, but when I was working at the job that we shared together, when I was pregnant with my daughter, she would always come up to me and rub my stomach and say, I think this baby want to eat so and so and so and so today. And she would go get little snacks for me and things like that. So she's known my daughter before my daughter was even born, okay? And again, as I was saying, she has a granddaughter who's a year younger than my daughter, but every year, me and a couple of co-workers who had children around the same age, we would always get the girls together for holidays, birthday parties, just random things that they would do with, like barbecues and things like that. And I stopped working at this particular hospital in 2012, and up until now, she was still always invite me and my daughter to every single event, except for the things when there was, big COVID shutdowns. That was the only years that we did not celebrate with her and her family. So that completely took me out because she didn't tell anyone that she was sick. And when we found out she was sick, it advanced so quickly, very quickly, very quickly. The cancer had spread very quickly. Even when she passed at her funeral, when I went and I looked at her, she still looked literally like this. You would not have told, because it advanced so quickly that there was no shift or change in her at all. And that by far was one of the most heart-wrenching things to have to experience, because it literally was like, it felt as though the universe took somebody who, again, I can't really verbalize it, so you have to forgive me, but she was literally an earth angel. Hands down, look at her energy. If you're like me, and most of you guys are who watch tarot and things like that, you could read energy, and she was literally an earth angel. And she, 110%, the matriarch of her family. The matriarch of her family, her daughter is her twin, okay? And she was an amazing mother, amazing grandmother. She had, biologically one granddaughter, and they were like this, thick as thieves. So I want to send love to their family as well. And it was just, it's very difficult to just think about things like that, because in essence, I don't do funerals myself, but I was inclined to do so, because I don't do funerals because I don't like the idea of, this is the last time I'm going to see you is in this box, in this state, and I know that the soul is thriving in eternal, in eternal energy, but I don't want that to be the last time I see someone. But I did it out of respect, because I definitely, I was just drawn to it. Whenever the universe puts something on my heart, I act accordingly. So I did go. But again, this one was very hard for me, because in essence, okay, as you guys can see from the title, I said two and a half deaths I've experienced during this time. I lost these two people the same day that I was celebrating a life. Okay, I lost these two people the same day, and then her birthday is a day after my daughter's birthday, the daughter who almost died. So that really brought it home for me how precious life is, and how blessed I am, and how grateful I am for everything, and how connected I am to the universe, because even in that time, as chaotic as things have been, I've had this sense of calm on me, that I'm always protected. My family is always protected. I always make sure I pray and meditate over my children every day. And so I'm just grateful to be here, to be able to say this and connect with you all about this. Now, that was the situation with that. Now, moving forward into the 24th of this month, my ex-husband, I called him because I was fussing, because I'm like, I need you to talk to your son, because your son did this, blah, 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 blah. He did something and got kicked off the school bus at school. So I had to go pick him up from school. And so I said, I'm calling your daddy. I'm finna call your daddy. Call his father, and his father, he works for a tow truck company, but he works for multiple entities. So he works for, like, I think 5 different police departments. So when there's accidents and things like that, he's on the scene, because he tows the cars and he helps clean up the debris from the accidents or whatever. Or if there's raids and things like that, like, he doesn't just tow cars that are being repossessed. He doesn't do that at all. He has major contracts with police departments, school bus companies, post office, things like that, and he works with those entities. So when I called him, he said, okay, I'll talk to him. I'm on my way to an accident. So I cleaned the accident up, and I'm on my way to the accident, and I'll call you after that. And so I don't know what made me call him again, because I know how long it takes to clean up accidents, but I ended up calling him again. And he said, I was just in an accident. I said, wait, you were on your way to the accident to clean up the accident? He said, no, I was just in an accident. He was hit by an 18-wheeler. His car, the truck that he was in was completely demolished. There's no front of the truck that he was in. Completely demolished. He was hit by a 18-wheeler and lived. He does not have one scratch on him. This all has been such a life altering reality this time frame, because I literally could have lost so many people all in this one time frame. I already lost two people physically. I almost lost my daughter, or is how it felt, because literally she transitioned to some degree. And then the situation with the kid's father, where he was hit head on by an 18 wheeler and survived and didn't have a scratch on him. Not a scratch. His face was swollen because on impact his head hit the side of the wall, from the door where he was driving. Hit his head, face was swollen, nothing else. Not a bruise, not a scratch. Nothing. And I always tell, in that moment, I always say, I'm grateful because I know that the universe is hearing my prayers, because I always cover all of my family when I first wake up in the morning. The first thing I do is plant my feet on the ground and ground my energy, ground myself, and I pray over every single member of my family, and I call for divine protection for them. And in that moment, I didn't think like, oh my God, like, why is this happening to me? Because people could think like, they're like, why is this happening to me? This just happened. This just happened. This just happened. Immediately, the first thing I thought to myself was, you all are hearing my prayers. Y'all rock with me, because you hear my prayers for protection, and you are protecting my family, and you are protecting me, and I'm forever grateful, right? So again, for me, I have to say that the message was gratitude. I always be grateful. I always express gratitude. Gratitude brings magnitude, a magnitude of blessings, abundance, healing, good health, things like that. And so that's what I really wanted to share with you all, because I feel as though, and I feel this intuitively, a lot of people are going through some heaviness, and the energy right now is to not shift it into negativity, into sorrow, into grief, into disbelief, because that's a lower vibration. And when you knock down your vibration, it changes everything in your environment. You know what I'm saying? Even with this, and that's another thing that I missed with that, when he was in a hospital and I went to see him, because I was with my son, so of course my son's panicking, and he's like, I want to go see my dad once he found out what happened. So when we went to the hospital, he's walking around, he's fine, he's well, and of course he has the swelling, but everything else is good. And I'm looking at him, and the fact that he was still in one piece, and I don't know how to insert the video or footage, but I actually have a picture of his truck, and I'm telling you, if you see this truck, you wouldn't believe anyone made it out of the truck alive. It was mangled. The whole truck was mangled. How he got out of that and still walking and living, it can only be the universal source and divine protection. That's it. That's all. Um, but while he was in the hospital, they had to lock the hospital down because two shooting victims came in, and the hospital wanted to protect the people who were in there, because they felt as though whoever shot them was going to come back and retaliate and try to finish off the job. So they locked it down. So he was locked in the hospital right after they were getting ready to discharge him. So the hospital was on lockdown for like 3 or 4 hours. Now, interestingly enough, one of the victims who came in was someone, he went to school with the girl, and it was the girl's, child's father, and he died. So he was connected to that. You get what I'm saying? Do you see how this chain is going? And I feel like this is what's happening with a lot of people. There's like a domino effect. And the response is, how are you going to deal with these things that are coming to your reality? Because and I've been saying this for a while. I've been preaching this for a while, right? We're trying not to preach, rather. These portals, pay attention to these energetic portals, because there's a lot of things shifting, and the universe trying to get your attention. And I feel like predominantly for a lot of people, what you do not know is during this Lionsgate portal going into Mercury retrograde, there is a portal of divine protection cloaking a lot of people. A lot of people. A lot of people. Even with this beautiful soul right here, okay? Her and her daughter, she only had biologically one child. Her only daughter, the grace that she exuded when she came out to greet everyone, and she greeted every single person who came in, to thank them for coming out and being supportive, and being there for the family, and the grace that she exuded, I could tell she was in that same space that I am in, as far as feeling protected, as far as feeling like the universe is on my side. Of course she shed tears because that's her mother, and she's the only child. But she was so strong for everyone else there. Like, her energy was like she wanted to protect everyone, and she wanted to make sure everyone knew that her mother was in good hands. Her mother was in a better place. Her energy still lived around us. Extremely powerful. Extremely powerful and extremely touching. So I just wanted to share that with you all, because I feel like a lot of people are not expressing gratitude. And if you know that you have not been expressing gratitude to the universe or whatever you believe in, now is the time, because you are definitely being divinely protected and divinely cloaked. And there's no real words that I can say that would even make sense to what my heart has been touched with. And that's another thing. The heart chakra is being cracked wide open for people all around this globe, all around the world. Literally, not just me, but everyone. You know, this it's a heavy heart activation going on around us right now. And again, the energy of gratitude. When you show gratitude, you will experience magnitudes of life, abundance, healing, even in the heart, even in the seat of sorrow. There's always something to come out of it. Because I don't know if you guys are listening to what I'm saying, but celebrating life, then there was 2 deaths. You know, the car accident, and he didn't die, but then the person who came in that he knew from, you know, school ended up dying. You get what I'm saying? Like, it's an energy of second chances. And that's why I'm tying this into even with the retrograde, because like I said, with the retrograde energy, it's reverse, like things going back. So it's like my daughter came back to me. He could have died, but the universe brought him back to his children. And I'm talking about my ex-husband. You know, and it's just a beautiful thing to realize that there's always beginnings, there's always endings, but there's always things in the middle that we have to deal with. And how are we going to deal with those things? You get what I'm saying? It's very important to live in a moment. A lot of people want to know what's going to happen in the future. That's what a lot of you guys come forward with the tarot. And I also have to tell you that I will be doing all signs, Aries through Pisces. They will be posted today. But I just wanted to save this for today because, like I said, is with Labor Day, she has been working for this hospital for 30 years. I think 31 at the time of her passing. And she was a labor of love. Everything she did was out of love. She was a mother of 9, labor of love. You know, the doctors and nurses who helped my daughter and my ex-husband, labor of love. And so I want to send gratitude, because again, right now, this moment for me is all about expressing gratitude, because I want that to continue to come back into me. And I want to also feed that to you all and express my gratitude, my appreciation for everything that you all have done with the channel. I would have no purpose to do this if I didn't have support, so I'm very grateful for everything. I know people have been asking questions about what's going on, because I've gotten some emails, and I thank you all so much. Like, people immediately, because you guys know I routinely, Sunday, Wednesday, those are the days that I post, and sometimes if I don't post and I delay and I reschedule it, people will email me and they'll say, hey, are you good? Everything okay? I'm praying for you, without even knowing. And that's how, again, I know that I'm divinely protected. My family is divinely protected, and I'm very grateful. So I want to express gratitude in this moment to you all, because without you all and your uplifting prayers and your kind words and sentiments, I would not be here. I would have no purpose in doing this. You guys are my tribe, and so I'm so grateful to be able to be connected to you all. And that's what I want to put out there. And also, when I was meditating, you guys know, every time I meditate, I hear songs, right? And when I was meditating, I heard the song Unholy War by Amy Winehouse. I'll leave that song in the description box below so you can listen to it following the video if you so choose to. What really stands out to me is Amy Winehouse was a Virgo. We are currently in Virgo season. So some of you all, henceforth the title song Unholy War, some of you all may feel like you are going through the valley of the shadows of death, or literally feeling as though you are being spiritually attacked. You may be, but there's no fear here. And I tell you guys on this channel all the time, I don't do fear. I don't, that's a low vibrational energy. We don't entertain that. When you know that you are divinely protected, you fear nothing. So when I heard the song Unholy War, you know, she was really singing about a partner, but what I took from the words was basically like an angel, or whatever you resonate with as a source of protection, energetic protection, spiritual protection. I really took the messages saying, like, you are not walking this path alone, because in the song, Amy Winehouse says, if my man was fighting some unholy war, I would stand right beside him, straight shook up beside him. In other words, like, regardless of how much fear you feel in certain situations, just know that you always have protection surrounding you. Regardless of how scary or how fearful or how confusing things are, you are not walking this path alone. And I just have to put that out there, because everything I've experienced literally from August 18th to now, energetically, spiritually, emotionally, could have taken me completely off my square. I did not buckle. I did not fold. I did not give up. In fact, it pushed me more so into being grateful and acknowledging my alignment with the universe and my connection with source. And I just hope that that gives someone out there hope, or someone a sense of peace, especially if you have been experiencing the same thing, because a lot of people love to preach the whole thing about abundance, 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 and people think about monetary or love and things like that, especially with the Lionsgate. And that's true. This is that's going to happen for a lot of people, and it did happen for a lot of people. But also keep in mind, abundance is not just the monetary, it's not just the physical, it's not just romantic based stuff. It's also energy based. And for me, that's the type of portal that I went through during that time. It was hell. Okay, I'm gonna say it was hell on earth, the way things were going down. But it actually made me realize how powerful the universe is. And because I am aligned and connected with the universe, that connected with me as well. And that's something that I hope you all take from this video today. Because I'm not big, and you guys know I'm not big. As you can see, it's September, and I'm telling you all now about stuff that happened in August. I'm not big on sharing personal things, but I know that this was something that's meant to be shared with people, because I know for a fact I'm not the only one who has been going through some things. And if you feel like you want to give up, and if you feel hopeless, or if you feel as though the universe ain't rocking with you, you don't feel protected, you don't feel as though your cries are being heard, they are. And the universe is doing things and making and orchestrating things to play out the way that it is meant to play out for your path, for your journey in this life. So I send you all love and grace, and I hope that you all have peace in your heart during this time. And again, the readings for all signs will be posted later on today, so look out for those, okay? So until next time, take care and be well. Bye.